Meditations on Barley by Tenzin. Tsamba soup. I saw this vestige of my culture on sale at a Patagonia retail store. It's a dehydrated instant soup that comes to life when you add a little bit of hot water. Made for probably white adventure seekers who will inevitably descend from sacred Himalayan peaks and then seek me out to tell me that they saw my country. They'll tell me how beautiful my land is, how strong the people are, the incredible generosity of the incredibly poor. They'll ask me if I've ever been to my homeland without ever knowing the deep intergenerational heartbreak of that question. Their curiosity is like the $6.50 exotified dust of a commodity that shares the namesake of meals my grandfather ate when he circumambulated Mount Kailash. When Tibet was a sovereign nation, when fields of barley grew on my family's farm in the Girong region of southern Tibet. Tsamba in its most simple state is roasted barley flour. Tsamba is what I have left of a culture and land from which I have been uprooted. Tibetans have a strong relationship to barley. It grows well even in high elevation and cold conditions. Archaeologists note of long-standing settlements with evidence of food cultivation and livestock dating back as early as 3,200 years ago, around the same time barley came to the Tibetan plateau. Barley and sheep allowed people to settle the land and transform the once scarce and harsh landscape into one with an abundant and hearty food supply. This essentially created Tibetan culture. Totally not backed up by proper science, but definitely backed up by this Tibetan. During Losar, the Tibetan New Year, every altar in every Tibetan home is decorated with a sheep head and, you guessed it, barley everything. Seeds, stalks, and flour. We put it in soups to heal our children from colds, take it on long journeys, use it during ritual and special ceremonies. It's everywhere. Tibetan culture in all its romanticized, exotified, misunderstood glory exists today because of barley, because of Tsamba. It is both root and crown, both heart and sacral in perfect balance. Even after the Chinese occupation of Tibet in 1959, barley still grows on the plateau because barley doesn't care what mouths it feeds, which tongues chew and gnaw at her cell walls. Plants are magic like that. They don't know about occupation, dislocation, disconnection. Barley is deep-rooted, holds the land together to prevent erosion, as a cheap crop nourishes the poor. I find myself crying looking at a packaged meal in a retail outlet mall, thinking all these things, contemplating how I can sneak back into my own country because the government doesn't like to hand out travel visas for people with Tibetan names from other countries. The way the Chinese government sees it, those are the kinds of Tibetans who are spreading separatism by firstly following the Dalai Lama out of the country after the occupation, and secondly demanding freedom. I fit both of those criteria. It would be much more difficult for me to get access to Tibet than a person with a non-Tibetan name. So I don't want to hear gleeful, almost always white mountaineers and adventure seekers telling me how great my country is, because I don't know that for myself. I never have. Don't feed me unwelcomed reportbacks, and don't feed my heartbreak. I'll feed myself real Tsamba soup, the kind my mom made me when I was sick, the kind my grandpa carried with him to Mount Kailash, the kind that doesn't need a marketing team to sell, because it's in my DNA.